So I have here now alizarin crimson, ultramarine violet. This one here is ultramarine violet, cerulean blue, yellow ochre, titanium buff, and burnt umber. So what I'm trying to do is to get this kind of combination of colors into the border. I'll see after if I need to add anything to the center, but I think I like the center just the way it is. If you like to add something to the center, a medallion, a design, anything, please, you're welcome to do that, no problem. But I'm going to keep probably the center very simple. So the border is going to have some of these colors, a little bit darker than what we see, maybe, but just very simple kind of border. This is a round brush. I'm using, I think, number 1 in that one here. It's not that small. You can see right there. It's medium size. So, and what I have here is a kind of a hint of a pattern. Really, nothing like nothing specific. So I'm going to start with taking alizarin crimson, mixing it with a bit of burnt umber, just to get that deep, rich red that I have here, which is kind of a deep, rich red, but at the same time, more like an earthy tone. So let's start by creating a very nice kind of soft border. And I really don't want it to be too specific, too clean, because this is kind of a nubby. This is kind of, it's a carpet, so it has a texture. It's not flat. Okay, let's start here again, doing this for the border. It creates a beautiful kind of a line in here, textured. Like I said, it's kind of loose. Again, one more, but smaller over here. Narrower, softer. Again. It's like sketching with pencil. Okay, it's good. Enough. Already I have a beautiful color and texture. Now, with the same color that I'm using right now, I'm going to start. Oh, basically the initial color here is burnt umber and white. So I had burnt umber with a bit of white and then a bit of more white in my burnt umber for the center. So the color that we started with right, is burnt umber and white, or burnt umber, titanium buff, it doesn't matter, one of them. Now, let's create kind of a soft base that we can put some color over. This is more like glazing. So my color is not that strong. It's not that thick, except maybe I will put a bit of more burnt umber underneath this table to anchor the table. That's shadows. Over here too. And I'll go back to, this has a bit more, this area here has a bit more burnt umber. Now I'm going to go back to using more like a glaze. So I'm dipping my brush in water. Wipe my brush. Come here. This is going to be darkened because that's underneath the chair. Try not to make it, try to make like more of a textured kind of brush stroke. Okay, now that's done. I'm going to darken this area a bit with burnt umber down here. Okay. Now, I'm going to take a bit of blue. That's cerulean blue. Put some titanium buff in it, or white, doesn't matter. One of them, just kind of a lighter blue. And I'm going to come here and just create a suggestion of any pattern, doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just ties in with these colors will tie in with the chair. Okay, good. Yellow ochre, titanium buff, wipe my brush. All I'm doing is kind of a dabbing in here. I'm just taking a bunch of colors that we have used in the chair, throw, and just kind of already it looks really cool. I'm just darkening my yellow ochre with ultramarine violet so I can put it underneath. Right. Cool. Next step, I'm taking a bit of alizarin crimson and titanium buff. Just alizarin crimson. Alizarin crimson, titanium buff, nothing else. Picking up some of the pink I have here. Random. Now, what I try to do is maybe highlight this area a bit with alizarin crimson, titanium buff, just a bit. Okay, cool, really nice. It frames the whole thing. It gives it some beautiful colors. Now, I'm gonna go back to my cerulean blue, adding more titanium buff in it, or titanium buff, one more layer, and come here and then just kind of enhance this blue in here. Okay, now go back to, I'm going to grab a flat brush and I'm going to come here, take my titanium buff, some of my burnt umber, and I am going to add a touch of alizarin crimson in this combination. So a touch of alizarin crimson, just to give it a hint of red. But this is burnt umber and titanium buff and a touch of alizarin crimson. Wipe my brush, come over here, and slowly make sure my brush is not too my brush is not the paint on my brush is not too heavy. I might have to use a bit of titanium white. And no, the other brush was a bit too wide. No, yeah, take maybe a smaller one, because with the wider brush, what I'm getting is a flat. So I want texture. I don't want it to be flat. I want it to look like a textured carpet, the wool. So the only way to do it is to use a smaller brush. Smaller brush will give you more texture. Bigger brush is flat. Will give you a flat paint or brush stroke. short brush strokes to give that texture. We change the direction a bit so it's not going in the same direction all the way, direction of the brush. It's like doing grass. It's like painting grass. Okay. Almost there. Really don't lose, try not to lose the darks in the back in the first initial, because those darks will show the texture that we have. Yeah. Okay. Now go back to my round brush and pick up some alizarin crimson and burnt umber. Like to add in the back here. Really, the direction of the carpet is not that important. It's just we're putting a hint of a maybe it's better if it's on an angle. Now that I have the color, I can see it. I can see better if it needs to be on an angle or not. Okay, so now let's go back. Bit of alizarin crimson, burnt umber, come back here. And really, like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. This is just the end and the corner of the carpet, of the canvas, actually. Right, okay, good. Now, I'm gonna take a touch of blue, create that again, texture or pattern, a hint of a pattern. Yellow ochre. Now I'm simplifying the legs of the chaise lounge. I'm simplifying the legs, but if you would like to keep them just the way they are, the traditional, you're welcome to do that. It's up to you what you would like to do with the legs. I'm going to take a bit of titanium buff, mix it with my burnt umber, and just highlight this part. Good. Bit of this part too, maybe. No, can't see it anymore. Keep it. All right, now back to my small brush. And this small brush is number 4 if you're using American Painter. I'm going to take my burnt umber, mix it with that light mixture that I had, and I'm taking some of my ultramarine violet, mixing, wipe my brush, come down here and darken all of this a little bit more, making sure that I have textured edge. I'm taking ultramarine violet and I'm going to put it in my burnt umber. No white or titanium buff. This part of the chaise right there should be darker. The shadow is usually darker closer to the object, and you further away from the object, the shadow is lighter. All right. Okay, I think that's enough. That's it. Nothing, we don't need anything more than that. I probably wait for the carpet to dry, and I would add a layer of here, a layer of kind of glaze it. But really it needs to dry, but I would glaze this layer with lighter. I know we're putting, it doesn't make sense, but if you wait for it to dry and then you glaze it, it will look part of the carpet. Right now, because I don't have time to wait for it to dry, but once the dark part is completely dry, I would glaze that part, this part, with some of the color of the carpet. Just to soften and to make it look like it's a shadow.